Now is the time.
Forever? Tangent. Old.
Halt.
Hashtag always MGM.
You are approaching the unloading area.
Calm down. AK haters.
But what if it could?
Behold the majesty of the Sistine Ceiling.
For the kids.
A salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World.
What a cute ending.
Aloha and
Don't DIllo it.
This is Theme Park Thursday with DIllo's Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and we are here for a new episode. We are recording on Tuesday morning, so pretty much this will be almost split into two parts, as it were. We have some breaking news items here on the Tuesday morning that we are recording, so we will address those immediately. And then on the second half of the episode, we will be doing a live watch of a Boy Meets World episode that was recorded, filmed in part at Walt Disney World in 1996. We were at 90s Con over the weekend. We did some photo ops with the Boy Meets World cast. It all kind of ties in, not only to 90s Con weekend, but also into our breaking news somewhat, kind of, sort of, this morning. Jen, how is everything going? How is your recovery post 90s Con?
It's good. It's going well. The kids, they had a little bit of the FOMO, missing out. We were sharing some of our photos that we got in real time to the Discord, which is tied to DIllo's Diz Resort, DIllosDizResort.com. That's our Patreon, where levels start as low as $1 a month. And the $1 gets you into that Discord where you could have seen our pictures happening in real time.
That's right.
But Lexi over in the resort was like, did Jen get taller? Why is she so much taller than all of these people? And the 7-year-old was kind of asking the same questions. Why are you taller than all of these people? What's happening? I'm like, TV is deceiving, everybody. TV is deceiving.
And so the plan to do a full 90s Con recap, our experiences at the 3rd annual in Hartford, Connecticut, anyway. 90s Con will happen imminently. Check out our YouTube channel for that. We'll be posting the time and day. Could be on Thursday night, could be on Friday night. We don't want to let it go for too long, because then where's the momentum in all of that? I want to address something before we get into our breaking news items. Okay. A couple of weeks ago, and you posted a talk about this in a reel and the whole thing.
Sure.
We talked about Beaches and Cream. And maybe it took a hard left turn into Tangent Land and Rant Along.
Us? No.
Us? Never. And so there we got some feedback about that. But over the weekend, just kind of like parallel to those kind of feelings that we have about Beaches and Cream, there was a lot of hullabaloo. There was a lot of excitement. There were a lot of feels, because the background music at the Land Pavilion, the original background music, was heard playing from the speakers and all around. It was as if it was the Epcot of old again. And
it's all we want.
And it was everything we had hoped for and more. And the world rejoiced. The skies opened up. It was springtime was nearly here over the weekend, and then it's gone. We took it away.
That BGM in Epcot, we just want the old BGM. That's all we want. We just want to walk around. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new BGM.
Right.
We just want the old BGM. That's all.
So I have a proposal that I kind of just, I don't want to get negative or ranty or get my Regis hands out towards the screen like I'm doing right now.
Well.
Premeditated Regis
doing
hands.
Great.
Why are we taking away the music? So here's my proposal. Again, agreed. I'm glad you mentioned the new Epcot background music. It's within the style,
yes.
and it's evolving, and it's a clear progress over time. It's got little hints and flavors of the music of old.
Yes.
Why can't and maybe this would be hard to time out. I don't know. Why can't we find a way for the new music to blend slightly into the classic Epcot background music?
Right.
And then when we go through about an hour of that, I don't know. Maybe then when we segue, we transition nicely out of the classic Epcot background music and into what we are experiencing today. I mean, I don't think that's a hard ask.
No, I don't see why not all of it. Just give us all of it. We're okay with the new one.
Yeah.
We just want the old one. So just mix it up. Put it all out there. Let us go through the new worlds, whatever they're called, future worlds, and just let us experience the various BGM.
And if I was going to be unreasonable, and I'm not here to be unreasonable about my asks. When the sun starts to set at Epcot, maybe that you time it out. That's when the transition starts. Like maybe with when the magical hour and the Central Florida skies and those colors that we love so well. Maybe and the Spaceship Earth starts to take on those hues, and you can hear the essential fountains in the distance. Maybe that would be the time to kind of bring us back, wax nostalgic, as it were, and transition and just spend an hour or so as the sun is setting.
Yeah.
In that classic Epcot old school vibes. I don't think that's a big ask.
I agree. It's not unreasonable.
I don't know why they had to take it away. Well, and then you do like the social media, you do the doom scrolling, because some people doom scroll about the world. We might doom scroll about changes in
Kate Middleton, I don't know.
So I'm doing scroll. I'm like, why? Why did they take this away? What did other people say about this besides the regular blogging sites that we're familiar with?
Right.
And so somebody, and I wish I could credit them, I'm sorry that I did not maintain it, suggested that, because the audio, and, if you've done a backstage tour, or if you're a former cast member, you probably have seen the complex audio systems involved. It suggested that somebody accidentally hit a switch. I don't know. Were they cleaning the speakers? They hit a switch, and the old. Listen, that's a good form of sabotage right there. If I just hit this button, we'll get the old Epcot music back.
I mean, I would pin it on us if we were in the parks during that time. I would say not that it was us. Right.
And so if that was the case, well, so be it. But it also that amused me, that idea of there's so much, technology.
Yeah.
A boombox, a dual cassette player, an 8-track, whatever it is.
They hit stop and had to flip the tape and then put it back in.
Yeah. Had to press play and record at the same time. That would that made me laugh, because I could totally see just we flipped the switch, and the Epcot of old came back for about a moment. It's okay. I mean, if you were there at Epcot over the weekend and you got to experience it by the Land Pavilion, we're not jealous. It's totally fine.
It's fine. We're fine. We're at 90s Con, so whatever.
We were
being nostalgic too.
We were meeting Mr. Feeney. It's totally fine.
Right.
Breaking news. I'm going to use this for breaking news.
Ready when you are, CB. Do I start in Canada or Mexico?
We didn't do Animal Kingdom.
You really hate us?
Breaking news. Tuesday morning of this recording, the 2025 Walt Disney World Marathon weekend themes have been announced. Prepare for vintage athletics with a nostalgic twist.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. With the nostalgia lean in, and we're leaning into the nostalgia. Join Mickey Mouse and his pals as you continue the decades-long tradition of discovering magic in every mile. With thoughtful touches reminiscent of a classic Disney era, you'll find yourself inspired by whimsical character favorites, musical entertainment, and more. Choose from 4 different races, plus the 20th anniversary of Goofy's Race and a Half Challenge, and the Dopey Challenge that takes you 48.6 miles across all 4 Walt Disney World theme parks. Get your adrenaline pumping and experience excitement and delight with an old school flair on your way to that euphoric moment of crossing the finish line. So the artwork that is currently out with this is of it's not the Fab Five or the Pick Six. I feel like there's more, but you can see Goofy here, the Goofy.
Sure, old school
race,
Goofy.
Yeah, race and a half, the 39.3 miles. And then there were other. You saw Mickey in some. You saw Pluto there. You saw Chippendale.
All right.
And then you saw Mickey and Minnie, of course. And Donald and Daisy.
All right.
So the nostalgia, the classic Disney characters. Jen, any interest in any of the Run Disney races for next year? Because we did touch on this at 90s Con over the weekend.
We did. And so is that the January one?
That's the January one. That's the one that Lexi runs every year.
Right. So, I mean, when we last talked to Lexi, who was doing all of them, it just, amazing. It's amazing that people can do all of these races. A couple weeks ago, I ran through MCO. And now, granted,
I forgot that's what it was based out of. I almost spit out my coffee. I'm thinking it was based on the steps we did in 90s Con, but no, we were talking
that too.
Yeah.
And let's put things into perspective. I wasn't in running shoes. I was in whatever kind of flat sneakers, and I haven't worked out. I do enjoy walking often during the week. I take some walks, get some air, just take it all in. But I'm not like working out. I'm not running. And so I ran through MCO at 11 p.m. on a day that was just the worst. And I barely ate throughout the day. So, it's not like I was at, my fittest. But not only was that run through MCO depressing because I'm in MCO, but I'm not really. It's also very difficult to do. And I was like, I can't. Oh my goodness, I can't do it anymore. I think we have dabbled in the last 5 to 6 years of the podcast of, should we do one of these one day? And if I ever thought of doing one, it would be the 5K. I could not go more than that.
Right.
So the nostalgia factor seems to be like calling to us, like, come on, if you're thinking about doing one, isn't this the one to do?
Right.
I don't think I would remove a 5K off the table at some point in the future. I feel like it should be a goal of the DIllos to participate in one of these.
Right.
But right now I'm like, I'm so tired. I don't know.
Yeah, just to clarify, like Jen revealed this whole story over at DIllosDisResort.com.
Yes.
She was in Fort Lauderdale and was scheduled to have a direct flight back to New York. The day took a serious turn, and she found herself in MCO very late at night, barely staring at the carpet.
I don't think I even saw. I probably ran over it. I didn't even see it really. I couldn't take a photo. It was too fast.
It was too fast. Couldn't even get the photo with my foot.
Excuse me, get out of my way.
Agreed. I mean, I don't think it's time yet. I feel like we would have to set some podcast related goals to kind of make it a big push to push us to do it, right? So we should remember a year from now, like in March, all right, maybe we'll need to set a goal in the fall for this next 6 months, and then for when it's announced in March 2025, if we reach those, then maybe we would do it in 2026.
Here's the thing. I mean, these are just excuses at this point because 2025 to me, I'm like, how is it 2025 already that we're talking about? So 25 is that nice round. That's 25. Wow. Also, we're in March. We got 10 months. So you're like, I don't know, maybe next year in the fall we start thinking about setting a goal for the
Well, and I say this not because I'm not a Run Disney enthusiast. We were talking with Tom and Michelle of the
Yes.
Hyperion Adventures podcast a couple of months ago about this. I don't know when the registration is. I know it goes fast, so I'm saying we're not gonna be able to figure anything out. I'm
Yeah.
assuming the registration is soon. I don't know.
You don't even know.
I don't know what it is. It should say it in this article. Never mind. So and that's why I say let's give us a year-long leadway before
Before we even think about doing it. We need another year to not think about it before we start thinking about it.
Sure. Yeah. So for
Mhm.
2025 with the nostalgia and the classic and the whole
Yeah.
probably not.
Unless I mean, if the people demand it, maybe we'll have to think about it.
I think you're great. You shouldn't even suggest that. You don't mean that.
You don't mean that. If I start stretching now for the next 10 months,
No.
maybe my body would pretend. Are there straights and curves? And can I run the curves and walk the straights during the 5K?
Like you did in
Like
gym
I
class
did
around
when I would have to do the
Harvey.
mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know what the pathway is. I'm sure
A
somebody
solid 13 to 15-minute mile.
I'm sure there's maps out there we could look at that you can hold up and look at the map.
That's right. Oh, speaking of maps,
Yes.
and this is an unexpected twist on our immediate breaking news that we've just been discussing that we really wanted to get to. Yesterday, last night, we got the mail and we had yet another delivery from Lewis and Bow with
Yes.
more maps.
More maps. Love the
So
maps.
many maps. I have to organize them all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we have a PO box.
Yes.
We welcome any sort of theme park goodness, any kind of map that Jen can look at.
I am not complaining about all the maps. I am excited about them
No,
all.
Yeah,
I just need to organize them. That's
the primary function of our PO box is in great part to receive maps.
That's right. I think I need to get one of those fire safe boxes for them because they were very important.
Very
These maps
important
have to
document.
be saved.
All right. So second bit of breaking news here on this
Yes.
Tuesday morning recording for Theme Park Thursday. Here's the breaking news thing. Again, I'm going to do it right now.
Ready when you are, CB. Do I start in Canada or Mexico?
It's me and Animal Kingdom.
You really hate this?
Any opportunity to use this DIllo Studios and Matt Harvey combo project, I'm here for it. DIllo Studios also has a new website, do they not, Jen?
They sure do. Wow, what a plug. They sure do. Offering video production, podcast production, graphic design, and social media management. Check it out, DIllostudios.com.
Thank you very much for that. So this morning, and
It's very
this will tie into a Dillo's Pop conversation that maybe we'll have down the line. But George Lucas this morning, George Lucas. He created
I've heard of him.
Yep.
Mhm.
He showed his support for Bob Iger this morning in a statement stating, in quotes, "Creating magic is not for amateurs. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my longtime admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership. When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record of driving long-term value. I have voted all of my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same."
Mhm.
So, Jen, recently I just completed my third season of the morning show, which you had egged me for
That's right.
years to watch.
Yes.
Which I'm glad I was able to do all 3 seasons here over the last 6 weeks rather than having to wait 2 years in between each season. A big fan of the show. I love this should be no surprise if you listen to the podcast or watch our chats or streams or anything like that. I love TV shows about TV shows.
Yes.
Anything that is a show within a show. I take it all the way back to Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream. You got the play within a play. That's all I love. A play within a play. My theater company, By the Mummers, was meant to be a giant play within a play.
Mhm.
I love it. The Muppet Show, a play within a play. Aaron Sorkin shows, Sports Night, Studio 60, plays within a play,
Yes.
even though it was a show within a show. Same idea, same concept. It's my favorite.
Uh-huh.
So the morning show right up there. Sometimes
Yeah.
it dabbles into the soap opera a little bit, which you think I like because I like soap operas and wrestling. That you think sometimes we go a little too soap opera, and I'd be like, bring it back, just bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
I digress. Disney has lined up a number of high-profile endorsements in its battle against Peltz. There's what's his first name? I'm not going to remember his first name now. I already forgotten his first name. Nelson Peltz. It's a proxy battle between the company and Nelson Peltz is an activist investor that's been trying to get on the board of directors. So there's a vote on April 3rd for 2 seats on the board. One of them is for Peltz. His firm is Trian, Trian Trian Fund Management, and the other is a former, I think, chief financial officer for Disney, Jay Rasulo.
Right.
So Rasulo and Peltz have been, I guess, in cahoots.
All right.
And so he has asked investors to nominate the 2 of them to be on the board. And that's happening at the annual general meeting on April 3rd. So this is something to watch for the next couple of weeks. Among other things, Peltz wants to overhaul Disney's traditional TV channels. This is from a CNBC.com article I'm referencing. He wants to overhaul Disney's traditional TV channels. Again, this kind of was going to segue into our Boy Meets World live watch here on the second half of this episode. He believes, Peltz does, that the TV channels, the traditional TV channels, have been a shrinking business. It's all right. I just did all this morning show watching, which I love all of that because it's still like technically a couple of years behind when you're watching in real time. So there's a lot of like all the streaming services are going to, be gone in 5 years or they're going to merge in 5 years. That's a lot of that conversation and where network, traditional network TV is, all of these things. It is a tumultuous, what's the other word I'm looking for? A turbulent time for, I tried to combine turbulent with tumultuous and came up with tumultuous. You can feel it. Again, I'm a wrestling fan. Monday Night Raw is going to Netflix. Like, that's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
So it's a very turbulent time. Slow down when you're speaking. Your words, Frank. For television in general. So I think this guy is Nelson Peltz is trying to get in on that. And obviously Disney is a hot button item just in general. Iger, meanwhile, has been trying to streamline the sprawling media company to rein in spending and make its Disney Plus streaming platform profitable. Iger has instituted broad restructuring, including thousands of layoffs. Thousands. I'll leave it at there for now. Jen, immediate thoughts.
I mean, I feel like when Disney Plus first came out, we were like, yes, this is going to be amazing. And we were so excited and look at all the stuff. And oh, man. And over time, there are times where I'm like, I don't really want to go into Disney Plus. Like, I don't, it's not really bringing me in with anything. I also think, you have the for the kids area of Disney Junior, and there was already some confusion if you're still plugged into the Disney Channel, Disney Junior. What's on what channel? Some shows are on both channels. What's happening? And that kind of got brought over to Disney Plus, where sometimes there would be a new episode released on Disney Junior, but it's not on the app yet, and the app is still a few episodes behind or a season behind or whatever it is. But then there's the Disney app, where you can watch them. It's too much. It's a little too much. Where are we going for everything? I think on Disney Plus, there is such a big want from all of us adults for the nostalgia. Speaking of leaning into the nostalgia, over there. Obviously, we still want the Mickey Mouse Club. Put it over there. Put it on. But there's so much more you could have. We're about to watch Boy Meets World, which is up on Disney Plus. Why is there not a whole TGIF section?
Mhm.
Everything from TGIF should be over there, but I know there's legalities, especially Full House is on like Max, Fuller House is on
Mhm.
Netflix. There's things everywhere, but I mean, there could be a whole TGIF section. There could be the all new Mickey Mouse Club. There could be old parades or specials. People would love it because if you go on TikTok, it's all about the nostalgia. If you go on, when you're going to these 90s con events,
Mhm.
people want the nostalgia. So why not lean into that over there? But I think you have mentioned in the past with like The Mandalorian and these great new shows that Disney
Mhm.
Plus is offering. Why are you not promoting it more on ABC, on the places where people are still plugged in and not sure what to do about because there's so many streaming services. Which way do we go? Give people a reason to go to Disney Plus. So it is a crazy time, and I feel like much like the internet overall, it was just so much, so
Mhm.
quick that now everyone's trying to figure out the best way to rein it all in while being profitable, while it making sense to be an option of if I'm spending money on one or two streaming services, who is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a recurring theme we talk about, especially when we talk
Mhm.
about Disney Plus, is kind of this disconnect, no pun
Mhm.
intended. We've disconnected our cable for streaming services between platforms
Yeah.
and what Disney has at their, like they have, the world at their
Mhm.
fingertips, and yet they're not crossing over enough to, and that was the thing when we were kids.
Yep.
You could watch, right? You had the Disney parades on ABC on Christmas and
Mhm.
Easter. You had the Disney Channel to promote if you had the Disney Channel. Well, I know a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't. Maybe you did the
Mhm.
free weekends or whatever. But then, if Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Dick Tracy came out, and I've said this before, and they had the behind the scenes movies that
Yep.
wasn't on ABC or it wasn't on the Disney Channel. It was
Yeah.
on syndication. It was
Yeah.
on here in New York, WPIX.
Mhm.
It wasn't they
Right.
would do a 4th of July special in syndication
Yeah.
on WPIX. So they would cross over and do different things. And Mickey's Christmas Carol was on NBC. And
Yep.
so there were multiple areas, but yet they all seem to feed into one another.
Yep.
And maybe I'm being naive about how that really was. It just seemed like Disney, and there
Yeah.
was less then.
Mhm.
So that just seemed more impactful. That's possible, but
Mhm.
I will never understand, especially if you watch any show on Apple TV, they show
Mhm.
you a trailer for something else. I
Yes.
have the power to skip ahead
Yeah.
and not watch that. Again, having watched the morning show, skip. I don't want to watch. Skip the recap. Skip the
Yes.
3-minute intro. I
Yeah.
don't even know what this music and all these dots are on the morning show. They're symbolic of something I don't understand.
Listen, I love that music, but I do end up skipping it when I'm binging. I'm like, I really like this, but no, we don't have time.
Right. So obviously, just like Corey Ellison whipping voters
Mhm.
he just like, want to mention House of Cards, but I was always about whipping votes on that show
Yep.
in the early season.
Yep.
The same idea here. We have this kind of power struggle going on, and I don't understand how we're still here and still talking about it
Yep.
4.5 years into Disney Plus, that you don't get here's your Walt Disney World discount thing,
Mhm.
with use this code to get 30% off at your hotels. As soon as I press my avatar, my
Yep.
icon, it's the only
Mhm.
time you'll hear me say avatar on this show, because we don't talk about Animal Kingdom. Just show me something that I can skip if I want to.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mhm.
I need a Walt Disney World commercial right at that moment,
Yep.
and it'll hit the right way, and I'll start looking at prices.
Yep.
Give me the option. Give me the choice.
Yep.
I don't understand how you got those. You scroll through the 8 different things we're highlighting this week, how one of
Mhm.
them isn't like some sort of ad or
Yeah.
deal, or here's a coupon for 20% off at Disney Shop,
Right.
whatever.
Yep.
It boggles my mind that those things aren't crossing over.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and maybe there's market research that shows people will be annoyed by that. But I'll tell you what,
Mhm.
and I'm going to say this as a very old man right now, get off the lawn. Nobody understands this Disney, ESPN, Hulu bundle. Nobody. They don't
Stop
understand it.
it. We don't get it.
Just put the Hulu and ESPN icons on Disney Plus, and
Mhm.
when I press it, give me the. I don't know if I'm bundling or not. I don't know. All right, I know I'm not bundling because I don't have Hulu, but
Yeah.
but just if I press it and just say, "Do you want to bundle?" and then I'll upgrade if I want to. How are you not driving this
Yeah.
kind of? How do you not feed one thing into another?
Yeah.
And so when I read this and I read, oh, now look at how the sides are taking shape, and this will be an Apple TV show in 3 years with Corey Ellison back in the saddle. Billy
Yeah.
Crudup is amazing on that show. I don't
Yes.
even. I
This
can't
is
even.
what I've been saying.
I can't even. I'm going. That character is why I wanted to be an actor. Like that is like everything
It's
about
so
it,
good.
just so quirky and weird and not really a villain and not really a hero and it's everything. I love it.
Yes.
Um,
Finally.
so long story short is Disney has put itself in this place for reasons no one can comprehend. No one can understand why they haven't been able to use their streaming service as this major marketing device for all the other things they're involved with. And if you're having a hard time, you put the first season of Mandalorian on Disney for a 2-week event on ABC TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, you run one episode every night for 2 weeks,
Yep.
or the first 2 seasons, so people see. Oh my God! Spoiler alert for the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, but it's freaking Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then you go, and then if you want to see season 3 and the Book of Boba Fett and everything
Exactly.
else, you go over there.
Yeah. I think you muted yourself as you were waving your hands around there at the very end. Okay, no, you're very good. Yeah, I mean, I will say, to play both sides like we like to do here, I do see that on Disney Plus, how I am sure there is research to show people don't want. I want to just go in and watch my shows. I don't want to be sold anything. I don't want to be told. And that's fine. And I know there's an ad and no ad version now of all the streaming services too that has developed over time. But there are ways to do it. There's ways to be a little sneaky. Disney, you know how to be sneaky and make me believe that I should be staying at a deluxe resort for $600 a night. You know how to do it.
Right.
You know how to. So it just, come on.
And so this story amused me this morning again. One, because I just finished watching the morning show, and 2, because Disney, you put yourself in this place. You had all the time in the world. You had, I mean, everyone was at home watching your streaming service for over a year.
Yep.
Plus. Come on. And I get it. I get too, where some of the things didn't work out as well as you had hoped with the movies you were debuting and things
Or
like that.
some people.
Right. I mean, I'm not here to throw anyone under the bus that might have been in charge of that. But here we are. And again, as this is a theme park based podcast. We love Jen. It was on social media about it. We love the sunrises. Can you give us sunsets? Can you give us sunrise can you just give us more?
The golden hour at the parks. Come on.
Let's do it. What are we waiting for here?
But first we need the sunrise at the studios. Thank you. That's number 1. Why? I don't understand why we have the other 3 parks.
And I'm sure, again, they'll show, well, this Behind the Attraction series isn't doing as well. I don't know that. What am I saying? But the Behind the Attraction series, maybe it's not the best performer. So they're like, we can't do more theme park stuff because Behind the Attraction isn't performing well. They did a second season, so there had to be something.
That second season does not count because you did basically behind the theme parks. Don't even get me started. Things will work.
Right, but then you got the Imagineering story, which everyone universally loves.
Yeah.
So just figure, there's people, there's it's out here on the social media, this contingent of theme park people. Figure it out. Come on.
Theme parks and snacks are not behind the attraction. That's all. Okay.
Now we are here for the second half of the Theme Park Thursday podcast. On March 16th, we were at the third annual 90s Con up in Hartford, Connecticut. There was one in Tampa last year, so I don't know how that fits in when you're saying annual. I don't know.
That's true.
But we kind of tied up some loose ends from the previous 2 years, and we got a lot of Boy Meets World photo ops.
Yes.
So what we're going to do here for the next 22 minutes or so, and this will be great because it requires Jen and I pressing play at the same time on our Disney Plus,
Right.
is we are going to watch together season 3, episode 21 of Boy Meets World, title as follows: The Happiest Show on Earth, filmed partly in Walt Disney World.
Yep.
This episode dropped in May of 1996. It dropped. It aired. It didn't drop. There was
It didn't
nothing back
drop
then.
on your streaming service.
It aired in May of 1996. So during the critical May sweeps period on ABC television on TGIF.
Yep.
And we're going to watch now and discuss the episode, discuss some of the things we've seen. I think one of the big things I want to mention is I was a cast member during this time.
Yep.
Do I recall this filming taking place in the other parks? And while I was working at the studios? No, I do not. But Jen, is there anything before we press play that you might want to add in here?
So because I listened to the Pod Meets World podcast, which is Will Friedle, Daniel Fishel, and Ryder Strong rewatching the entire series, I have heard their episode of this episode, their podcast episode about this particular episode. So, Will makes a mention of how he's not even in the episode and he didn't get to go to Disney. So how unfair is that? There's also just, I think overall, the episode can feel a little disjointed of like, what is this? Why did they go to Disney? Why is Stacey Keenan on? Spoiler. Why is, and all the things. And why is Andrew Keegan only in this episode, but never all the things felt, I think, to them. And as you're watching it back, like, it just felt like we have to do an episode in Disney. So let's just do this. And here it is. And like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing to add here, because we had a discussion in our Discord, I think, at DIllosDisResort.com a couple of weeks back about the timing of the 25th anniversary birthday cake at Cinderella's Castle, and like when it started, and like there were things I remembered sort of when it started. Now I'm not gonna. I don't know if I can say for sure that I'm gonna guess stock footage of Cinderella's Castle here because I think it was in progress, but I don't. It depends when it was filmed compared to when it aired. But yeah, you'll see Cinderella's Castle in this episode in its OG form, and pre-birthday cake with no pink shading on it or anything like that. So, but May 1996 is 5 months before the official 25th anniversary of Walt Disney World. Yeah. So that's also why you're getting some of the lead up. Why we in Disney World? Was it? Yeah, it's all leading up to the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, and I think like with the Full House episode or the Family Matters episode, they're all the shows went to Disney, and they always feel funny because they'll hop around from park to park. Now they're on this ride in this park, but now they're on this ride, but they don't say what park they're in. Now, I appreciate that as someone who worked in Disney as an operating participant, where people would bring me their maps and go, how do I get to Disney World? And I'd say, here you are. You're here. Great news. And they would be like, no, where's the castle? And these shows highlight the fact that it's all Disney World, but there are different theme parks within. And for us, we are able to distinguish that. But for everyone else, it's all one place to be.
Yeah, we're good. I mean, sometimes there seems like there's a portal on these sitcoms that they just like go through a cast member door and end up in the other theme park. I don't know, but like, what is the timeline here? So Jen and I are going to press. I guess we'll press on it'll just start when we jump in, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Or at 1, 2, 1, 2, and then on 3. Or did you hit play already?
Well, now I'm a second in because
hold on.
You said go.
I didn't know we were doing it on go. I thought we were just trying to determine which one we would do it
All right,
on.
hold on. Let me go back. I don't think I'm even back 10 seconds. All right. I'm now at a black screen. So tell me when.
1, 2, 3, go.
Okay. Little intro. Well, we're all having fun.
It's like the 90th with those colors, the
so
pink and the green.
right.
And the... So I said I posted earlier on my own Instagram at Improving Frank that this show Boy Meets World was already nostalgic for me when it debuted in September 1993 because I was already out of high school.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and you because Will Friedle, I believe, in real life is 2 years younger than you.
Oh my
And
God.
he will often talk about just the difference for him, like being on set versus like what the kids were doing versus what he was doing, because he was living a completely different life already once
Right.
he started.
Just as a quick lead in this opening scene, Corey and Topanga are on a break.
Yes.
Copy machine girl, copy. No, that's not the right show.
That's a different show.
And Corey has been working on new relationships here.
That's right. So they're at Chubby's, which is their local hangout, and there's a little party going on. Corey has just kissed another girl that isn't Topanga. That's not okay.
It's like we already know it's not going to last.
To
We
the
can
lore
see it.
of
Very
Boy
clear.
Meets
Nothing against this actress, but we know she is not Topanga.
She is not. All right, now it's Sean and Corey in the classroom recapping, what you do, how you hang out with girls, how to become cool.
Because you were 11 when this show started, like where did your crushes lie, if any, on the show, Jen?
Oh, that's a really good question. My crushes mostly were outside of this show because, I was a big JTT, Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Right.
So I probably be thinking of that. I probably would go more of the Ryder Strong side, who we made eye contact the other day and I said, thank you. And he said, thank you. And I was like, well, this was it. This was our moment of we're basically friends now. So
well, and there's a lot more to discuss in terms of photo ops, but the cast of Boy Meets World knows where it's at in terms of how to do photo ops at 90s Con.
Mr. Turner, currently on screen, he was at 90s Con as well. I appreciate the row because this is how they always sit. It is Topanga, Corey, and Sean. Now, in the next row, also in this classroom, Andrew Keegan, big star of the 90s as well, also was at 90s Con this year. Has had some controversy to his name over the years. We can get into that a different time. But he is now the plant on this show that is going to cause a little bit of ruckus.
The guy playing Lips is Andrew Keegan?
Yes.
Really?
You didn't know that?
No. Now.
Yeah. So now,
man, they're going to Disney World. 3 winners: Topanga, Lips, and Corey's current dating person. They get to go to Disney World for winning a writing contest.
Yes.
And Corey launches a plan. He just had a bad dream that Lips and Topanga kissed on Dumbo in the original location of Dumbo in Fantasyland in the Magic Kingdom behind the carousel.
Why didn't it stay there?
Oh man, so good back there. I mean, it makes sense that they had to move it to where they moved it based on a new configuration, but we miss it right behind the carousel.
I know there's 2. I don't know. Another time.
Yeah. It is weird that there's 2. I mean, I've never rode Dumbo more in my life than I have in the last, but
exactly.
I think that's part of the allure.
Yeah. So they're now Corey and Eric are in their bedroom. They share a room. There's a poster of Topanga. And Corey is freaking out that Topanga gets to go on this trip with Lips, aka Andrew Keegan, which Frank just figured out, even though he watched the episode.
Oh man, I have that baseball card frame that he has on his wall behind. Just to say, Boy Meets World, I watched more in the reruns maybe and towards the end of the series than I did when it first launched.
In the college years, when they had the roommate,
Matthew Lawrence.
Matthew Lawrence was on. No, but I meant her real name is Maitland. I am.
Oh yeah, the tall redhead. Yeah,
yes.
I mean, also we have some questions, but that's okay.
I am blanking. Oh. That was a very large bang near my house. If anyone heard a big noise in the background there.
All right.
slightly concerning. We'll figure that out later. All right. So they're still in the school. Corey and Sean are still trying to plan how to get to Disney. They're like, let's spend all of our money and buy some plane tickets. Again, we're in the 90s. Things were a little bit easier, just like in Sleepless in Seattle, where they could book the 9-year-old on a plane by himself and they didn't need any kind of parental anything.
It was totally fine back then. And
totally
Eric is scheming. He's got a mannequin of Corey that he will use to his advantage.
Topanga, who it's really funny to listen to Bohn Meets World because the first 2 seasons, Topanga not on the show very much, and they're like, "How am I such a big thing with Topanga and Corey, and I'm barely on this show?" But so she's coming into it more in season 3. She's got the different hair. In the beginning she had the crimpier hair, and now she's got the smoother hair, and so she was walking in the hallway with lips, and now Corey is admitting he has feelings. Topanga's giving him the, we can be friends. We'll always be friends, right, Corey? It's fine.
And just to say, during all of this is a one episode. It's not a 2-parter like you would see in syndication. It's not a 1-hour special episode during May sweeps. This is one episode of Boy Meets World. We're about 7 minutes into it, and they're not in Disney World
yet. They're not in Disney yet. So still waiting. Mr. Turner has a trunk that's Topanga's luggage, apparently. That's what you can bring on. This girl, she is an actress that was on a lot of 90s things, and I almost feel like she might be on the current episode of Pod Meets World, which I'm 1 episode behind on, but I feel like she might be the one who's on it. She just kissed Corey right in front of Topanga.
Oh, man. And so, we saw the panel discussion over the weekend at 90s Con, and they talked about, that they never did like a Philadelphia filming.
Yes.
Which, the show takes place in Philadelphia. I don't understand.
Yes, but I love that. Like the most they would do is give Corey a Phillies hat if they ever wanted to make it seem like they were in Philadelphia. There was also a comment because we're now in Epcot.
Epcot very quickly made it to Disney World. Cinderella's Castle. That's definitely a stock footage shot.
Yes. The Living Seas is being shown right now because somehow they won a writing contest, so now they can go into this dolphin area of the Living Seas and check out some behind the scenes.
What made the Living Seas such an interesting film location for everybody?
I know.
All the time.
And this actress who is
Debbie Dunning, who is the Tool Time girl after Pamela Anderson, is the guest star as like the dolphin Living Seas instructor cast member person.
Yes.
What? Why is she on this episode?
Exactly. And so it begins. Another ABC actress put onto this episode. They filmed in LA. The sound stages were right next to each other because all the kids from all the shows would play basketball together, apparently. Why wasn't I friends with all these people back in the day? I don't know.
But Sean and Corey just walked into Epcot with their duffel bags that they packed on a cargo plane that Sean's uncle provided them tickets for. Yeah. They just walked in with their duffel bags. You can do that now. That's fine.
Are there turnstiles in that background? I'm trying to squint my eyes. Or it has to be the turnstile days, doesn't it? I don't know.
I'm sure
now you will never be able to get this view. They're like looking at the flag. They're looking for Topanga, by the way. She's driving right behind them on some sort of tour of the front of the park.
As if you could get on a Pargo, as we called them backstage, and then drive through the park with the Pargo.
Right to the gates. Nothing's up there to see. We are back at the school. Because we don't need that much time in Disney. But Will Friedle needs some airtime for this episode because he's not in Disney. Mm-hmm. He's carrying around the Corey dummy to make it believe that he was in class, shoving him in the locker. The shenanigans, always the shenanigans going on. Right.
And now a scene with Feeney here.
Yes.
And William Daniels was at 90s Con as well, which we did a photo op, and
about to be 97.
Oh my gosh, which is nutty to think about, and that he's 60 here, probably just about to turn 60.
What?
No, wait, am I right? No, he's about to turn 70. Wait, what year is this? No, carry the.
I don't know, about to turn 70. You're right, because it's 30 years
about to turn 70. Yeah.
Oh my God!
What year is this?
What are we?
What are we even doing anymore? But the voice of Kit on Knight Rider,
Mm-hmm.
St. Elsewhere is what I remember for. 1776 on Broadway, I think, was also a big
Mm-hmm.
thing for him at the time.
Yeah. Lots of hallway shenanigans. We are back now in
Well,
Magic Kingdom.
Yes, suddenly in the Magic Kingdom. We're going to pretend that it's still Epcot, but it's clearly Tomorrowland. You know, cast member costumes there with. I was like, oh, are they going to go on Alien Encounter? No,
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 they're just
they're not.
having a churro. And we're back in Epcot. We're feeding dolphins. She has changed the tool.
The tool time,
Full-time tool girl has changed.
into a nice cocktail dress.
Yeah.
While she feeds the dolphins.
Topanga is learning more about dolphins and who spends time alone and ends up in being sad. I find the 90s attire with all of these kids super interesting. There's different patterns happening. The girl who is kissing Corey is in like a suit, like a business casual suit. I don't know, business attire, I should say.
Yeah, there's a lot of like almost what I would say crossover of different parts of the 90s within the attire. Like, we're not sure which way it might go, so let's combine people who are wearing plaid with the bright colors, with the baggy pants. Yes. It's all very interesting.
All the things. Somehow, Corey and Sean went from the Magic Kingdom and having a churro to finding Topanga in this backstage area of the Living Seas. Very amazing. Corey just gets kissed again right in front of Topanga by the other girl.
It's like they said, we want to do this scene, but we don't know if we want it in the high school or at the Living Seas, and they decided to keep both as it goes to commercial.
And I do believe that backstage of the Living Seas was a soundstage. I don't think that was even, but they were confused as to whether or not it was a soundstage in Orlando or like where it was.
Now they let's just discuss for a second that Sean and Corey have slept. They don't have a hotel, so they slept in the logs of Splash Mountain. So they each took a row. And clearly they ducked the night before or whatever. They jumped in and had a pleasant sleep on Splash Mountain.
They just smell bad. You know they smell bad now. They don't smell good after that.
I mean, I'm sure they meticulously cleaned these though. They look in the best shape.
I mean, sure, yes, and the actuality of where they are right now, but we know.
To be fair, this is only like 3 years after it opened, so maybe it's still got some
a little bit better. Yeah. All right. Corey's pointing out that he came here to woo her, and he's got to get his girl back. He's got to get Topanga. They sit back down on the ride, and
think about their plan.
Yeah.
Sean did a little. Well, I don't think he really did reverse psychology, but Corey felt it was like reverse psychology.
Yeah.
All this to say, they do the Splash Mountain scene here because it's still like a big ride at the time, so they want to show that on the show.
Yeah.
But then you have the Living Seas where they know they have the space, or like whatever it is, and off they go.
They go right down the hill. From right down
from where you get on the ride.
Yeah.
Immediately down the hill.
Yeah.
And I think they said that they did this like 7 times. I think I heard that. Yeah. It was like seven times. And now they're running around. You
know why you can't find out? They're talking to the Beast to try to find Topanga.
And to be fair, the castle's in the background and not pink yet. So
right. They're back in Epcot. They have gone to the Beast in the front of the castle, to the Goofy in the American Pavilion, and
now back to Magic Kingdom. Can you smell the fumes in this scene? It's the Tomorrowland Speedway.
So good.
Oh, and then and now they're in Morocco, where Corey is dressed in a fez and Moroccan garb, trying to sell so much.
Now they're in Paris getting their so Andrew Keegan and Topanga are Lips and Topanga are getting the drawings done in France. Also to say Andrew Keegan and Danielle Fishel in real life during this time besties. They are besties during a lot of the 90s, hung out often.
I still can't believe that's Andrew Keegan.
But he looks exactly like Andrew Keegan. So
I mean,
how
now
do
that
you...
you're saying it, like, but then I see his hair and I'm like, I can't believe that's him.
Mhm.
I mean, I also had hair like that back in the 90s. It was fine. No, I never had hair like this. I tried.
Mhm.
My long hair was
Instead, Hugh Grant. Topanga and Lips are having dinner in the living seas. You have Corey in the water saying, "I will always chase you." Topanga is just mad. She's mad at all these boys trying to smooch her, and it's not okay anymore. And so she has just thrown water in Sean's face, getting mad at him for what Corey's doing. And now they are outside the living seas at night with that spaceship Earth glow behind them. You have Corey and Topanga arguing in front of the living seas now.
Now that scene, which I know it's kind of like that in Full House too, because they're in the tanks at some point. I
Yeah.
mean, is that a soundstage or is that I would say that's the
Uh,
coral reef, right?
I feel like that's a coral reef. Yeah,
I mean, again, is it space? Is it what? Like, why do we film these things in the coral reef?
I
don't
know.
know. And to
Everyone
me,
needed to see that.
this scene has between Topanga and Corey has to be a sound nightmare for the TV production people because of that splash of the living seas on the rocks every 5 seconds.
Did they have to ADR it after? I think that's the term. I've learned about that a lot on the Gilmore Girls podcast I listen to. And now the other girl has appeared behind Corey, who also went diving to try to find him. Topanga walks away.
And now, here you go, Jen.
And
You
no
got a little-
mentions.
yeah,
Holla. God, this scene. What? So now we're back in the Living Seas backstage area with Stacey Keenan. And
I looked it up after. I did not know this was Stacey Keenan
what?
when I was watching
What's
this.
wrong with
But I was like,
you?
what is this? Who is this? Why is she like this angel in within all of
Uh-huh.
this? Like, it's like a guardian angel scene almost. Did
Right.
she drown in the tanks? What happened? What's the real story
The
behind?
real story. She was at 90s Con. I
Mhm.
believe she's a district attorney at this point.
Yeah.
But she's just feeding the dolphins randomly. I don't. This whole so when you hear the recap and then you watch and you see all the flaws in the episode, it's just
Mhm.
like what a random
Yeah.
episode.
The lack of continuity, as we would
Right.
say, right? We were watching the morning show, like we were saying on the podcast episode. Well, this is the podcast episode, but if we
Oh,
split
yeah.
this video up, it'll be two separate things. And about the morning show, like there was clearly like two scenes, and I was like, I think that scene was just supposed to be before the one we just
Yeah.
watched.
Yeah.
And I'll offline with you about that. But yeah, that's funny. And I should have known that was Stacey Keenan, but I didn't watch because she was on Step by Step at this
Yeah.
point.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't watch that show.
Mm.
So it would not have occurred to me. But now that I look at her, I'm like, oh, she's playing like a Luna Lovegood character here.
Yeah.
Is she? And they said because is she playing her character from Step by Step?
No.
They were also filming a Disney episode at the same time.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
To clearly save on production costs.
Yeah. Everyone, we're going on a field trip. Yeah, and I mean I think they're attempting to tie in the dolphin story where it's this female dolphin and she's alone and to the Topanga. I don't know that it was working well. But Corey is now sitting here chatting with the dolphin in a classic 90s sweater.
Yeah.
And that whole outfit is very preppy 90s. That's a preppy 90s look as opposed to a grunge 90s or a
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never a sweater person in the 90s.
In the 90s. You didn't have those like what everyone had with like the higher up, because this is a V-neck, but the higher up sweaters that were baggy. I feel like
No, now I do. I feel like,
Sure,
but
yeah.
well, especially the second half of the 90s when I was in Florida, I didn't have any sweater.
Well, yeah.
I had windbreakers. So that's what I wore.
Obviously, yeah. Speaking of which, I found a good windbreaker in the one of the closets in Mama and Papa DIllo's recently, and I'm like, this should be worn by people. This is a good, I think, Islanders windbreaker. But anyway, digress.
Topanga has been doing the classic sitcom eavesdropping.
Mm-hmm. She has listened to everything. She has gotten the nod from the dolphin she connected with earlier.
We never find out what happens with the dolphin. Like, does the dolphin find its
No.
mate? No happy ending for the dolphin.
It's fine. Yeah. Now, Corey and Topanga are in the classic shot that everyone knows of Boy Meets World and Disney. They're in front of the Fountain of Nations. What's it called that then? I don't know.
Good question if it was called that back then. But yes,
Yeah.
not playing the Rocketeer soundtrack at the time like it does during one of its showings.
Yeah.
But now it's a lovely open plaza.
Yeah. So now they are talking about their relationship. Topanga's all, you weren't going to give up. But wait a second, you weren't going to give up on me. And the Corey and Topanga true love story. We've gone through our hurdles. We've gone through ups and downs. And now we can smooch in front of Spaceship Earth and the fountains, and all can be right with the world again.
Like that's it, right? Like that's if you're gonna film like this kind of thing, and like
Right.
you want the spaceship Earth in the background with the fountain. That's what
Yeah.
you know what you're doing by framing the shot this way.
Oh, yeah. And again, more Sound Nightmare. So they probably had to dub that all in again.
Did I mean, where would you rank this in terms of episodes that took place in Disney parks? I mean, and would you say Full House is the number one?
I think the Full House is the number one. Plus, that was a two-parter, right? We got
Yep.
more than one part of that one. Oh, look at those fountains going off with the bigger kiss.
Mm-hmm. It's like instead
the
of fireworks,
hallway,
what can we
right?
do instead of fireworks? They cost too much money.
Yeah.
To do this fountain.
Panning out with the Epcot glow intervention scene in the background.
That would be a Hallmark drone shot now.
Yeah,
You know,
that's exactly.
instead of the crane.
Yep.
We would have a drone.
And then we're back in the Matthews kitchen where his parents are realizing he just went to Disney and they didn't even know. And so they everyone gets some airtime during this episode. And
The suspension of disbelief is real.
Yeah.
I mean, again, would it have benefited them? I know that I'm sure there was some sort of, cost savings here by not having everyone go. Would this episode have been better served to be a two-parter? Have the rest of the family go run after, find Corey,
find him.
That seems like that would have been the normal progression of this episode.
And I'm sure all of them would have wanted to do that because they get to go to Disney.
I mean, it's true. And this made me laugh when I watched this earlier prior to, I did a little pregame research.
Yeah.
Snow globes were so big.
Yes.
At this point in Disney, it was like the new ceramic figures were the snow globes, and they just got more elaborate as the mid to late 90s went on.
Yes.
So these are very simple snow globes here.
Yes.
But nevertheless, hilarious to me because they were so popular during that time.
Yeah. Mama and Papa DIllo, lots of snow globes.
Lots of snow globes.
Eric coming back into the kitchen as well to see what was his role in all of this. Did he know what was happening? And here's the dummy that apparently he had buried in Mr. Feeney's yard. At 90s kind of for you, Frank, that yard right outside that door, that there is the debate as to whether that's a backyard or a side yard. So that's that
was a constant discussion. I'm a little confused as why Feeney is dressed a little bit like Wilson from Home Improvement. But in that last scene,
he is their neighbor, and there is a fence dividing them. It's just a lower fence, so it all ties together.
With the bucket hat and it's very interesting. But interesting episode, and I guess unexpected. I obviously remember the iconic kiss there in front of the Fountain of Nations. And I feel like I remember the Living Seas portion, although over the years I've conflated, I think, the Full House with but strange that maybe less than 15 minutes of time dedicated to this episode because, the first 7 minutes, they weren't there yet. And then in the 22-minute episode, you got 15 left. So maybe 10 minutes total in Walt Disney World, which is fascinating.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But we will wrap up this episode here of Theme Park Thursday with DIllo's Diz. We'll probably splice this episode into two different videos on YouTube. So you can, if you didn't do the watch along while you were listening to this audio podcast because you're in your car and you're like, how am I supposed to watch Boy Meets World while I'm driving and yelling at you about all the things you're talking about with George Lucas and all these things?
Yes.
Why the land music? Come on. So maybe we'll post the video, and then you can come home and set up your Disney Plus. Try to figure out when we said 1, 2, 3, go.
Yes.
And go from there. Just as an update, we're still in the middle of #DIllo's Madness. It's not just for the month of March, everyone. It's going to go on.
Yeah.
some time. We're
The
sharing
madness
30
continues.
The madness continues. We're doing 32 stories. We're at like the halfway point with 16 stories in. So we're about to go into the next 16 stories, and then the madness will ensue 100%.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. You can join for free by going to DIllosDizResort.com and click the join for free tab. Would we like it maybe $1 for the $1 Discord? Maybe. Think about it. Just think about it.
Yeah.
But join for free for hashtag Dillo's Madness. Last week, we announced that we will be having a meetup in September.
Yep.
And that information, too, will come to DIllosDizResort.com. So that's the place to be to join for free. That was an
Yes.
unfortunate rhyme right there. Until next time, she's Jen and I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces. The Dillo's Diz podcast is hosted by Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo Snyder. Music produced by Matt Harvey. Logos and video production courtesy of DIllo Studios. Dillo's Diz Resort is our Patreon with tiers starting as low as $1 per month. You can visit DillosDizResort.com to learn more. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X Twitter, and Facebook at Dillo's Diz. Check us out on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/DillosDiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. We also have merch available on TeePublic and Etsy. For all this and more, visit our one-stop shop, DillosDiz.com. Dillo's Diz Podcast 2024.